That's not my mother. You come home from work. Your mother opens the door. Same eyes, same voice, same gentle hands she always had. But something's wrong. Your heartbeat freezes. Your stomach turns. You look at her and whisper to yourself, "That's not her. That's not my mother." Capgras delusion is not just a mental disorder. It's a psychological horror film that never ends. It convinces your brain that your loved ones, your parents, your partner, even your child, have been replaced by perfect imposters. Not shapeshifters, not aliens, just someone else inside their skin. Imagine living in a world where your entire emotional recognition system is broken, where love feels fake, where the people you once cried for now feel like strangers in masks. It doesn't change what you see. You still see your mother, but you don't feel her. Capgras syndrome often appears after trauma, head injuries, neurological damage, or disorders like schizophrenia or dementia. Normally, when we recognize someone's face, two brain regions work together. The fusiform face area recognizes facial structure. The amygdala generates emotional response. In Capgras, these two disconnect. You see the face, but you don't feel the bond. So your brain panics. It invents a story. This must be an imposter, a perfect fake, because that's easier to believe than the idea that your own reality is broken. It starts small. She's acting different today. His eyes don't smile the same. Why does her laugh sound practiced? Then one day, you look at your father, and the thought drills through your skull. He's been replaced. Some patients go silent. Others confront. Many fall into spirals of rage, paranoia, or isolation. One woman was hospitalized after attacking her sister, screaming, "Where did you hide her body?" She truly believed her real sister had been killed and replaced. Imagine the emotional cost. You're surrounded by people who say they love you. They bring your favorite food. They say your childhood nickname. But every cell in your body is screaming, "This is not real. This is not safe." You try to smile, but your brain whispers, "This is a trick." You cry alone in your room, not because you miss them, but because they're right there, and you can't feel them anymore. Clinical psychiatrists have documented terrifying cases. A man who believed his wife had been replaced by a robot. A child who refused to touch his mother, saying, "My real mom wouldn't hug like that." An old man who stopped eating because the fake nurse was trying to poison him. They weren't insane. Their emotions had vanished, and their brain had rewritten the story. And in that rewritten story, everyone you love becomes a threat. Here's the disturbing philosophical twist. What if we all experience tiny versions of Capgras daily? Ever felt like your partner isn't the same anymore? Or your best friend seems like a stranger sometimes? Ever looked in the mirror and thought, "I don't recognize myself today"? Maybe Capgras isn't a disease. Maybe it's an amplified version of a truth we all hide from. Our connections are fragile. Our emotions are chemical. And reality can slip anytime. They say the cure lies in grounding, therapy, medication. But deep down, the fear never fully dies. Because once your mind betrays you, how do you trust it again? She says she's my mother. She smells like her. She holds me like her. But I know she's not. You shut the door. You stop talking. And inside your head, one thought keeps echoing. They replaced everyone. Cotard's delusion, the dead man who kept breathing. He doesn't speak anymore. He just stares. When you ask him what's wrong, he simply says, "Nothing. I'm already dead." Not as a metaphor, not as poetry, He believes his heart stopped beating years ago, that blood doesn't run through his veins, that his body is walking, but his soul is gone. Cotard syndrome, also known as walking corpse syndrome, is one of the most disturbing and rare psychiatric disorders known to science. The person genuinely believes they are dead. Not depressed, not hopeless. Dead. Some think they've lost their soul. Others believe their brain has rotted, or their organs have vanished. They deny their own body, even as they use it. Cotard syndrome is usually linked with severe depression, psychotic breaks, neurological trauma, dementia or schizophrenia, parietal lobe damage, the brain's sense of self center, but science doesn't fully understand it. Because how do you explain a mind that denies its own existence? It's like the brain forgets the meaning of life. One theory suggests the emotional recognition system collapses. You feel nothing, no hunger, no pain, no joy, and the brain interprets this absence as death. In 1995, a 25-year-old woman in the Philippines was taken to a hospital. She told doctors, gravely, "I am already dead." Whispering, "I smell my rotting flesh. Urgent, bury me now." Another man, after a car accident, refused to eat. He told staff, apathetic, "Food is pointless." Flatly, "I have no stomach." Resigned, "I am dead." A patient in the UK was taken on a drive through a cemetery. When asked why they were there, he calmly replied, "This is where I belong now." Some patients even request autopsies. Others lie motionless for hours, days, like corpses rehearsing for their own funeral. They don't want to die. They believe they already have. Imagine this. You wake up. No hunger, no thirst, no joy, no memory of why you exist. You touch your skin. It feels rubbery, fake. Your voice doesn't sound like yours. Your reflection looks back at you, but doesn't blink when you do. Disoriented. Am I a ghost? You stare at your hands and whisper, "If I'm dead, then who's moving them?" And the scariest part? No one else sees it. The world treats you as alive. You feel like a corpse forced to act alive, like a puppet made of rotten thoughts. Cotard's delusion forces us to ask terrifying questions. Is life just a combination of sensations? If all emotions are gone, does existence still mean anything? Can the body live without a sense of being? We think of death as silence, but for these patients, death is loud. It's conscious, it breathes, it walks. Maybe the horror of Cotard's is not death, but knowing you're dead and no one believes you. While it sounds impossible, recovery is possible in many cases. Antipsychotics, electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, deep emotional regrounding. One recovered patient described it as, "Wearily, I came back from a gray, freezing tunnel. The world had color again. I wasn't happy, but at least I was real." Another said, "Realizing, I woke up one day and realized the dead don't cry, and I was crying." That's when he knew he was alive. Cotard's syndrome is not just a disorder, it's a philosophical scream. A living body, a dead mind. A person who feels like a ghost, still haunted by the echo of their own name. If death is the absence of feeling, then Cotard is a hell where you feel the absence forever. Call of the Void. You're standing on the edge of your balcony, 15 floors above the street. There's no noise, no fear, just a strange thought, soft and sudden. What if I jump? You don't want to die. You're not sad. There's no plan. But still, that thought whispers. You step back. You breathe. But now it's there, planted like a seed you can't unsee. This is l'appel du vide, the call of the void, a psychological glitch so subtle, so terrifyingly normal, it happens to millions of people, and no one talks about it. You're on the edge of the train platform. The wind brushes your neck as the train approaches. Your brain says, "What if I just let go?" You shake your head. Maybe you even smile, like it's a joke. But deep inside, you feel the shiver of a question you don't understand. That voice didn't come from pain. It didn't come from logic. It came from somewhere darker, somewhere older. Most people don't act on it, but they all remember it. They all remember the first time their brain asked, "What if you just ended it for no reason?" It's not suicidal ideation. It's not depression. It's something else. Something that challenges everything we believe about free will, survival, and the architecture of the mind. Scientists call it an impulse mismatch. Your survival system activates, but your rational brain misreads the signal. Instead of stepping back from danger, you imagine stepping into it. Not because you want to die, but because your brain wants to feel the limit. It wants to flirt with destruction, to prove it can choose not to fall. But what if one day you're too tired to say no? What if one day the call of the void doesn't sound like a whisper, but a command? That's the terrifying part. You won't know whether it was your thought or a glitch you failed to override. Because even the smartest mind can be seduced by the edge. And the edge doesn't care why you're there. It just waits. Silent. Still. Calling. 4. Gaslighting. It starts small. You're sure you left your phone on the table, but they say they saw you put it in your bag. You frown, uncertain. Maybe they're right? Days pass. You start noticing strange patterns. Memories that don't line up, moments that feel altered. But every time you ask, they look at you and smile, almost concerned. Calm, patronizing, you're imagining things again. You begin to wonder if you're losing it. Maybe you're too sensitive. Maybe your memory really is broken. This is not confusion. This is gaslighting, a form of psychological abuse so calculated, it convinces you to doubt your own mind. The goal isn't to lie to you. It's to make you lie to yourself. To make you unsure of what's real and who you are. They erase the evidence. They rewrite the past. And then they convince you that you agreed. They say, annoyed, you're being dramatic. Coldly, you always twist things. Dismissive, you're overthinking it. You slowly become the villain in your own story. You apologize. You question. You isolate. And eventually, you surrender. You become addicted to their version of reality because your own no longer feels reliable. This is how gaslighting kills. Not with violence, but with the slow erosion of your truth. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It teaches you to distrust your own eyes, your own voice, your own gut. And the worst part? You don't even know it's happening until everything inside you is quiet, except for their voice, the one that says, "You're crazy. I'm the only one who loves you." And you believe them because they've stolen your reality and replaced it with a prison that feels like home. Folie 2. Script begins. You and someone else. Best friends, lovers, siblings. It doesn't matter. You spend every day together. You talk late into the night. You trust each other completely. Then, one day, they tell you a secret. Something dark. Something unbelievable. Something you've never thought about. But they say it with such certainty, such clarity, that part of you starts to wonder, what if they're right? You resist at first. But the more time you spend with them, the more the world outside feels fake. You both stop trusting others. You both see the signs. You both feel the danger. Eventually, their delusion becomes your reality. This is folia de, madness shared by two. A rare psychological phenomenon, where one person's psychosis becomes a mirror that infects another. And even if someone from the outside tries to break the spell, you don't listen. You can't listen. Because if you admit that it was all in your heads, then everything you believed, everything you did, everything you lost was for nothing. And your world collapses. So you hold on to the madness because it's the only thing you built together that still feels real, even if it kills you. You're brushing your teeth. When a thought cuts through your mind like a blade, break the mirror. You pause. Where did that come from? You've never wanted to do that. You're calm, stable. And yet, there it is again. Smash it. Now. You drop the toothbrush. You look around the room like someone's watching you, because that thought didn't feel like yours. This is thought insertion, a disturbing symptom of certain psychotic disorders, especially schizophrenia. It's the belief, no, the experience, that someone else is putting thoughts in your head. Not ideas, not suggestions, actual foreign thoughts. Invasive, strange, terrifying. You might be cooking dinner and suddenly think, poison it. You might see a child smile, and something inside you whispers, push them. And you know you would never think that, which makes it worse. Because now you're not just scared of the world, you're scared of yourself. You stop trusting your thoughts. You start avoiding people. You live in fear of your own mind. Who's inserting these thoughts? God? The government? Aliens? Demons? Or is it just your brain glitching in a way you were never taught to expect? Thought insertion isn't just a mental break. It's a complete collapse of mental ownership. It's the horror of realizing that the one thing no one else could ever take from you, your inner voice, might not be yours anymore. And when you don't own your own mind, what's left to protect? Just silence. And the echo of a thought you didn't ask for, but can't ignore. 5. Smiling depression, casual. Everyone says you're doing great. You're working, posting, laughing. You're so positive all the time. But at 3 a.m., thoughtful, you stare at your ceiling fan and wonder how you became so good at pretending to be alive. Serious. This is smiling depression, a silent war inside a smiling mask. It doesn't look like sadness. It doesn't sound like pain. It looks like achievement. It sounds like I'm fine, somber. But underneath, you're drowning. resigned. You attend the party, but feel like you're watching yourself in third person. You post selfies with captions about healing, but haven't truly felt anything in months. Weary. You've mastered the script. Tired. I'm just tired. Dismissive. Don't worry about me. Flat. It's nothing. Somber. Because if you ever showed your real self, fearful, they'd run. And so you keep performing, smiling, helping others, while your own soul bleeds out quietly. The most terrifying part? Sad. Even you start to believe the act. Until one day, broken, you can't. You collapse or disappear. And the world says, surprised. But they looked so happy. Somber. That's the cruelty of smiling depression. It teaches you to hide in plain sight until your pain becomes invisible, even to yourself. 6. Selective mutism. You want to speak. You have thoughts, words, emotions, but when you open your mouth, nothing comes out. Not because you're shy, not because you're rude, because something locks your voice inside your throat like it's a secret you're not allowed to share. This is selective mutism, a rare anxiety disorder where you physically cannot speak in certain situations. Despite having the ability, you talk at home, you laugh with your sibling, but at school, at work, in public, silence. You try to force it. Your heart races, your lips move, but the words are trapped, suffocating behind your fear. And people misunderstand. They think you're arrogant or broken or not trying hard enough. But how do you explain that your silence is not a choice? It's a prison. You're screaming inside, but all they see is a quiet kid in the corner, or a woman who never answers, or a boy who seems like he doesn't care. The tragedy is you do care, you just can't say it. And over time, the silence grows roots, until you forget what your voice even sounded like. Serious. Somatic symptom disorder. Your body's a battlefield. Every day a new symptom. Chest pain, dizziness, nausea, headaches, a terrifying sense that something is very, very wrong. You visit doctors, tests, scans, blood work, disappointed. They find nothing. But the pain is real. The discomfort is real. You are suffering. This is somatic symptom disorder, a condition where psychological distress manifests as physical symptoms. It's not in your head. It's in your chest, your skin, your breath. It's in the way you cancel plans because your body feels like it's collapsing. It's in the late night Googling, the panicked hospital visits, the shame when they send you home, saying you're fine. You start to wonder, are you imagining it? Are you broken? The answer is more terrifying. You are in pain, but the pain has no source. And that emptiness, that invisible suffering, it eats you alive. Because when your body becomes the enemy and no one believes you, you begin to disown it too. When a dog is trapped in a cage and shocked repeatedly, eventually it stops trying to escape, even when the door is left open. This is learned helplessness, a psychological condition where repeated failure, trauma, or abuse convinces you that effort is pointless. You've tried, you've fought, you've screamed into pillows, into relationships, into systems that never heard you. And now, you just sit, quietly, numb, defeated. You stay in toxic relationships. You don't apply for better jobs. You accept pain as part of who you are. Because somewhere deep down, you've started to believe you deserve it. Or worse, that it's the only life possible. And people around you say, why don't you just leave? Why don't you fight back? But they don't understand. You already did. And now, You're just tired of losing. You remember the person, their face, their voice, the way they laughed in the kitchen at 2 a.m. while eating ice cream. But you don't feel anything anymore. You know you loved them, but the emotion is missing. Like someone wiped your soul clean, but left the memories behind. This is emotional amnesia, a disturbing disconnect between memory and feeling. It's not forgetting them, it's remembering everything except what it meant to you. You scroll through old messages, listen to your favorite song, stand at the place where it all began, and nothing stirs inside you. Not anger, not nostalgia, not even grief. Just silence. It makes you wonder, was it ever real? Did I fake everything? Or did my brain somehow delete the emotions to protect me? The worst part isn't losing them. It's losing the part of you that used to feel. Because now, you carry ghosts inside you, but not even their touch makes your heart respond. You're not cold. You're not healed. You're just empty. 10. Anosognosia. You wake up in a hospital bed. Your arm isn't moving. Doctors tell you you've had a stroke. Your family is worried. But you smile, because as far as you're concerned, you're perfectly fine. This is anosognosia, a condition where the brain refuses to accept that something is wrong with itself. Not denial, not stubbornness, a literal neurological blind spot for your own illness. You're paralyzed, but insist you can walk. You're manic, but claim you're just energetic. You're delusional, but say everyone else is lying. And the tragedy? You believe it. To your brain, there is no sickness, no missing limb, no broken logic, just normal. So when someone says, concerned, you need help? You laugh. You don't need help. They do. This isn't arrogance. It's not ignorance. It's brain damage. Most cases appear in strokes, dementia, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. But the damage isn't always in what you think. It's in self-awareness. The same part of the brain that detects external danger detects internal failure too. When that part breaks, you become blind to your own collapse. So no matter how much pain you're in, you deny it. No matter how much evidence they show you, you dismiss it. Because your reality has deleted the error message. Imagine bleeding out, but saying, I don't see any blood. That's anosognosia. And it's terrifying. Because how do you save someone who doesn't think they're drowning? Worse, what if you are one of them? And you'll never know, because your brain will protect the lie with all the force it has. Because sometimes, the most powerful delusion is the one that makes you feel sane. 11. Body integrity identity disorder. You wake up in a healthy body, 2 arms, 2 legs, functioning perfectly, no injuries, no pain. But when you look in the mirror, something feels horribly wrong. Your left leg doesn't feel like yours. Not metaphorically, literally. You stare at it like it's a parasite, a foreign object, a limb that was never supposed to be there. And somewhere deep inside, a voice, this shouldn't be here. I'll never be complete until it's gone. This is body integrity identity disorder, BIID, a rare and disturbing psychological condition where a person is convinced that one or more parts of their own healthy body don't belong to them. It's not attention-seeking, it's not aesthetic, it's not some twisted trend. It's a lifelong, agonizing dissonance between the body and the mind's internal map of the self. Imagine knowing you are supposed to be an amputee, not because of trauma, but because your brain says your real body is missing a part, and this is a mistake. These individuals live full lives, have careers, families, dreams, but secretly, they fantasize about amputation. Some wrap their leg in bandages for hours a day. Some use wheelchairs despite having no disability. Some even attempt self-amputation because the urge becomes unbearable. Doctors label them mentally ill. Society calls them crazy, but inside, they're suffering in silence. They're not trying to harm themselves. They're trying to feel whole. And here lies the terrifying paradox. To feel normal, they have to become disabled. Some surgeons, in rare cases, have actually agreed to perform amputations, and patients report something unthinkable. Relief. Peace. Finally, this is me. So who's right? The doctors who try to preserve a perfect body, or the patient who insists perfection is the very thing making them want to die? It raises a dark question. Is the body real, or is it just a projection of the mind? And if your mind says, "This leg isn't mine," then where does ownership truly begin? At the bone, or at the belief? BIID doesn't just challenge medicine, it challenges identity, ethics, autonomy, and the meaning of self. Because in this condition, wholeness sometimes begins with loss. And for those living with it, it's not madness, it's not obsession. It's a lifelong war between the body they were born in and the body they believe is truly theirs. 12. Cryptomnesia, thoughtful. You're writing late at night, relaxed, words flowing, energetic, ideas clicking, excited. A brilliant concept strikes your mind. So original, so powerful. You feel electric, upbeat. You post it. It goes viral. Applause, praise, admiration. Dramatic pause, and then, concerned. A comment appears, questioning. Isn't this from that book? Shocked. You freeze, disbelief. You search, and there it is, word for word. An idea you genuinely thought was yours already exists. Frustrated. And now you're called a thief. Solemn. But here's the horrifying truth. Deep voice. You didn't steal anything. Exasperated. You just forgot you'd seen it before. Informative. This is cryptomnesia, a psychological phenomenon where your brain retrieves a forgotten memory and mistakes it for an original thought. Thoughtful. It feels authentic, fresh, new. Disappointed. But it's not. Reminiscing. You read it years ago, heard it in a podcast, saw it in a film while half asleep, whispering, and your subconscious stored it away in silence, slowly. Then, months or years later, your mind brings it back without any label, no source, no context. Just the raw content, now wrapped in your voice, convinced, and you believe it's yours. Reassuring. This isn't rare. It happens to writers, comedians, inventors, even scientists. Factual. Friedrich Nietzsche described it. Mark Twain was accused of it. George Harrison's My Sweet Lord cost him a lawsuit over it. Dramatic. It's the ultimate betrayal. Somber. Your own memory turning against you. Rhetorical question. Because how do you prove you didn't copy something when it came from inside your head? Thoughtful. Cryptomnesia raises a disturbing question, questioning how much of what you think is you is actually borrowed, stolen, remembered wrong, challenging. Are your beliefs original, your style, your personality? Or are you just a walking library of forgotten influences you've mistaken as self? Serious. In an age where originality is currency, ominous, cryptomnesia is the quiet killer, introspective. Not because it exposes you to others, but because it exposes you to yourself. Resigned. And you realize, thoughtful, maybe you don't own your thoughts as much as you think you do. Philosophical. Maybe none of us do. 13. Hyperphantasia versus aphantasia. Thoughtful. Close your eyes. Now. Imagine a red apple. Thoughtful. Can you see it? Is it crisp? Shiny? Can you rotate it in your mind? See the light reflect off its skin? Some people can visualize it so vividly they can almost taste it. Surprised. That's hyperphantasia, a rare condition where the mind's eye is so vivid, so powerful, it feels almost real. Short pause. Now imagine this. You close your eyes and see nothing. Just black. No shape, no color, no movement, nothing. You understand what an apple is? You can describe it? But you can't picture it at all. That's aphantasia, a condition where the brain lacks the ability to visualize images internally. Not imagination, clarifying, just mental imagery itself. This is not a creativity issue. It's not trauma. It's how the brain is wired. Now here's the disturbing twist. Most people don't realize which one they are until adulthood. Because how do you explain what the mind's eye looks like when it's always been that way? Some people say, wait, people can actually see images in their head? Others say, wait, some people see nothing at all? It's like learning that others live in an entirely different dimension, and no one told you. Hyperphantasia can imagine full movie scenes, visualize their loved one's face, rehearse conversations with shocking clarity. Aphantasia? They rely on logic, verbal memory, concepts, not colors. They don't see their past. They just remember it in words. Now imagine this difference applied to grief, to trauma, to love, when a loved one dies. 14. Existential OCD. You're washing your hands 1, 2, 3 times. But this isn't about germs. It's about something deeper, something darker. Because while your hands scrub, your mind is drowning in questions that never stop. What if none of this is real? What if I don't exist? What if I'm just thoughts in someone else's dream? This is existential OCD, a rare obsessive-compulsive subtype that doesn't revolve around order or contamination, but around reality itself. It hijacks your thoughts and drags them into black holes you can't climb out of. You start by wondering, why am I here? But soon it becomes, what if I'm not? You obsess over consciousness, over time, over the terrifying idea that nothing you experience is true, and your brain doesn't let you leave. Every answer gives birth to 10 more questions, and if one remains unresolved, your chest tightens, your heart races, you spiral. It's like your mind becomes a broken mirror, reflecting you back to yourself until you can't tell where you begin and the thought ends. But here's what makes it truly disturbing. These aren't philosophical musings. They're compulsions, mental rituals, like counting or tapping. Except the rituals here are invisible. Replaying thoughts, analyzing existence, asking people, do you ever feel like none of this is real? You want reassurance, but it never helps. Because the OCD doesn't want comfort. It wants certainty. And in a universe where certainty is impossible, Your mind becomes a trap with no escape hatch. You begin to lose trust in your memories, in yourself, in reality. You question if you're a brain in a jar, if your thoughts are being planted, if your reflection is faking it. And even if a therapist tells you it's OCD, you whisper, "What if I'm the exception?" That's how it wins. Not by answering your questions, but by convincing you that you'll never find peace until you solve the unsolvable. And so you try, every night, every moment, until your entire existence becomes a question you're too scared to ask and too tired to escape. Because with existential OCD, the fear isn't dying. It's realizing you were never real to begin with.